Sanctuary Night is a drop-in center on the west side of Columbus for women who are vulnerable to the experience of sexual exploitation. They need a space, and that's what we're trying to do, is provide a space where they can rest and connect with each other and with people who care about them and have access to resources if and when they're ready for those resources. I personally think the most rewarding part of this work, at least for me, is getting to work alongside of survivors. So women who have themselves exited the sex trade in one way or another, or come out of, mental health instability or substance use disorder and are now thriving. The women who come into this space are dealing with a lot of barriers. And as I always say, they're just existing at the intersection of a lot of different injustices. They're, dealing with childhood trauma, ongoing trauma, intimate partner violence, housing instability, food insecurity, not to mention just usually untreated mental health, physical health issues, and then very commonly a substance use disorder, which has just taken over. When you have all those vulnerabilities, and for many women, the inevitability of, as a means of survival or having experienced some kind of trafficking or coercion, being involved in the sex trade, you're also dealing with the trauma bonds associated with that, which just psychologically makes it all the more complicated to get out of the situation. The two things that have to be in place for a woman to get out of a trafficking scenario, one is that there has to be a place for her to go. So we're literally providing a place for her to go. The second thing that has to be in place is hope. The beautiful thing about hope is that somebody doesn't have to have hope for themselves, they can borrow it. Like, hope can be borrowed. And so even if a woman doesn't have an imagination for what a future could look like for her outside of this scenario that she's in, we can have that imagination. We can have that vision and that hope and belief in her. So from the very beginning of the organization, we prioritized the inclusion of survivors every step of the way. We asked them, is this a good idea? Do you want to be involved? We had survivors volunteering with us when we were just a volunteer organization. There was no question in my mind that we wanted to be completely staffed by survivors. The dream for me is that we hand over this organization to survivors within the next 10 years. When we first announced ourselves to the community that we wanted to embark upon this 24/7 project and we wanted to acquire our own building and really do this, one of the first sort of resources that showed up for us was the Columbus Foundation. We were asked the question, what do you need? We've been stunned by the support of the community. Now we just get to do the work, and the team that I've been blessed with is so ready. I mean, so ready to be open more, to imagine what just more, detailed, specific resources in this space could look like. It's really important that there always be that space available, and that's what we aspire to.